Hey beautiful people, thanks for tuning in. This is Uncut Gems with Slim, your weekly motivational push to dive deep into fulfilling your purpose, pursuing your passion, and expanding your capacity to become your best self.
When you're bad, when you need to find your purpose, come this way. Uncut Gems, Uncut Gems with Slim, yeah, that's her name. Uncut Gems, Uncut Gems with Slim, yeah, that's her name. Uncut Gems with Slim, yeah, that's her name.
What it do, baby? How are y'all doing? What's up, kings and queens? If you are listening for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad you tuned in. Y'all already know, if you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes. And if you are already subscribed, you tune in faithfully. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I can't even sing, but you know what I'm saying? Welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode of Uncut Gems with Slim. So y'all, I'm a jump straight into it. Last week I was beating around the bush and here and there with it, but I got some good for y'all today, okay? And so I was just thinking about how interesting it is when God be using repetition to get your attention. If you don't know, in the Bible, whenever God repeats something, it's like to get your attention. Like he don't just repeat it for GP. It's intentional. He's repeating and using repetition on purpose to get your attention. And so recently the topic of discipline has just been popping up left and right all in my life. And like the past few weeks, I've been adjusting and working towards being just consistently disciplined with my lifestyle. And that's just in regards to everyday things that people do without even thinking of it. So like for me, it's mainly been eating and sleeping. And I don't know about y'all, but I am always up to something. I'm always working on some content, researching things, and I just be locked in. And when I'm locked in, like I'm locked in. But oftentimes, like I'll be so locked in and so focused on finishing a thing that like I'll miss a meal or I'll eat super late and eat at an inappropriate time just because I'm trying to finish whatever I'm doing and things like that. And that's also leaked into my nighttime routine because, honey, I ain't been getting in bed on time. I've been tired. I've been getting into bed extremely late because I've just been up, just locked in, trying to get things done. And I know you might be like, girl, like we don't miss no meals over here. Or nah, sis, I gotta get my sleep. If it's one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get my sleep. And that might be the case for y'all. But like for someone who puts in a genuine effort to just achieve a thing, or someone who is just like really locked in to getting things done, like you probably experienced a moment where you've been focused on finishing something so much that you've postponed those like vital daily activities even without noticing. So since noticing like this about me, I know it's not healthy to continue like functioning in this manner where achieving my goals is more important than getting the appropriate rest and like eating at a decent hour. Like I know that that's not achieving my goals is not more important than my health. So this week's gem is about why learning to lead a disciplined lifestyle is very important to maintaining balance in your life. So after noticing these inconsistencies like the lack of sleep and just eating at all different hours of the night, and y'all, I do be eating, don't get me wrong, but it's like I will work on something and I will go at it from the time I get off work at 5 and I will try to finish that thing. And next thing I know, I done filmed a video, edited a video, yada, yada, yada. It's 11 o'clock at night and I'm just starting to cook dinner, and that's just ridiculous. And so like after noticing that I started kind of habitually doing these things, going to bed late, eating at all different times of night, I had to set up boundaries to help get me back on track. And so one of my friends, Leslie, we were on FaceTime one day, and her alarm went off, and she was like, "Oh girl, that's just my alarm to tell me, that's all the time I had to work on whatever she was working on." And I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. And so like lately I've started using a timer when I've been like working on things, so I can dedicate a set amount of time to do that thing. And then once the timer goes off, it's time to shut it down. It's time to move on to something else. And it is what it is. Like, that's the hard deadline. When the timer goes off, that's it for the day. And this trick might be helpful for anyone who are like finishers. Those people who like, you might not, so you got starters and you got finishers, and you got some people who are both. Starters are those people who always start something new. They're quick to start things, but they might not be good at finishing things. So instead of finishing it, they're gonna start something else. But you got finishers who like will put everything aside to make sure they finish that thing. And so like, I feel like I'm a starter and a finisher. I start a lot of stuff, but I also finish a lot of stuff. And so this is very helpful for those people who like to complete something in one session. Unless it's time sensitive, it's going to be beneficial to dedicate X amount of time towards completing that thing, even if you don't finish it in that time frame. So that's what I tend to do, especially if it's something that I can finish tomorrow. It's not like a today thing, like the deadline is not today, but I'm putting a deadline on it, but that's not the hard deadline. Give yourself a little bit of grace and like allow yourself like, okay, I've done all I can do in this amount of time for today, and I'll pick it up tomorrow and we can finish it tomorrow, or we can finish it by the end of the week. Like, don't put all that pressure on you to just get it done because you're trying to force this imaginary deadline you made up to be like set in stone. And so in addition to that, I've also set like social media boundaries. And we waste so much time scrolling on social media, and at times we don't even realize it. So as someone who works on social media, and like social media is a vital part of my business, it's very easy to like claim that my scrolling is business all the time, because it's not. Even though when I'm scrolling on Instagram, my mind is always going to like, oh, let me look at these analytics, let me evaluate, what's trending, what's going on, yada yada yada. It's easy to convince ourselves that it's all business, but it's also important to be disciplined when it comes to your leisure activities. This can go for anyone, not even people who like do social media influencing, but just in general. You have to be mindful and disciplined when it comes to leisure activities like scrolling on Instagram, watching Netflix, all that stuff, because you spend way more time than you really think you do. Until you start clocking it, you're not going to realize how much time you spend scrolling, you spend watching, and you spend wasting time. And so I've had to set a time limit, like, okay, I'm gonna do no social media after 9 p.m. during the weekdays, after 10 p.m. on the weekends. And that has helped me when it comes to getting to bed on time, because sometimes I would like waste time scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Twitter, whatever, in between like doing the dishes or getting ready for bed. But when you cut that element out, you shave down so much time. And so that's been beneficial for me, because after 9 p.m. it's like, okay, girl, the only thing you're doing is preparing for tomorrow. You're winding down for work. You're not wasting any time lollygamping around the house. You're just strictly winding down, shutting it all down for the next day. So this has really helped me with getting in bed on time and things like that. And so these are just some examples of how I've been working towards living a more disciplined lifestyle. So this past week during my church Bible study, my pastor talked about how consecration is preparation. And during this time of preparation and consecration, we should be eliminating distractions. And so as he was speaking on this, I was like, wow, bro, like that's literally what I'm trying to do with these boundaries that I put in place. And so by eliminating these distractions, we're able to create a season of focus. And I want us to kind of hone in on this season. We're moving into fall. Basically, fall is here. Make this a season of focus. I feel like we've been distracted by a lot of stuff. Maybe I'm gonna speak for me. I ain't gonna speak for y'all, but with everything that's been going on in 2020, it's very easy to have been in a season of just distraction, a season of uncertainty, and things like that. And I want us to transition into the fall season and use this as a season of focus, or create a season of focus for you so you can lock in. Like, it's time to lock in, y'all. And I just want to encourage you guys to acknowledge those areas where you've been spending a little bit too much time. So instead of watching, a 10 episode season in 1 or 2 days, limit yourself to 1 to 2 episodes a day and utilize your time wisely. And I know for my people who don't watch Netflix, they think like 1 to 2 days is a lot, but honey, I watch Netflix. Okay, so sorry, I went off on a Netflix tangent, but if you're that person, just limit yourself and utilize that time wisely, like I said, so you can effectively prepare and take those steps closer toward achieving your goal. Sometimes I like to put myself in the shoes of people that I look up to, or someone who might be in a position that I want to eventually be in. So for example, if you think about, it can be anybody. If it's your favorite influencer, if it's your favorite business person and things like that, they didn't get to where they were living the lifestyle that you're probably living. For me, whoever, I don't even know what names to throw out now, but in the influencing world, Jackie Hyena, she is the YouTube Mongol, okay? And so it's I'm sure Jackie Hyena did not get to where she is today by living the lifestyle that I'm currently living. I'm sure she wasn't binge watching Netflix. I'm sure she was probably researching, things about how to be successful on YouTube, or just different things like that. Take yourself out of your shoes and put yourself in the shoes that you want to be in 10, 20 years from now, wherever you want to be. When you achieve that big goal, you need to lock in and kind of get in that mindset right now. So if you vibe with Jay-Z didn't become a billionaire just by binge watching Netflix. What I'm trying to say is you have to lock in and really make sure what you're doing, what you're spending your time in, is things that's going to push you forward towards achieving your goal. An example for me is if I ever want to create generational wealth for my family, it's not going to happen if I continue to lack discipline in my life. And discipline applies to almost everything. Literally, whether it's being disciplined with your finances, whether it's being disciplined with your sleep schedule or your diet or what have you. I just want to encourage you guys to set some boundaries this week on some habits, that may not be contributing to a balanced lifestyle for you. And just utilize any accountability partners you may have, if you have one. If not, maybe seek a good friend, a reliable person who can be that accountability partner for you, to just remind you to stick to those things and stick to those boundaries that you set up for yourself so you can make progress in the right direction. A good example for me is I set my timer for 15 minutes for this episode. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. But y'all, before I go, I'm super, super, super excited. Next month, we are gonna have our first series coming to the podcast. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe. It's gonna be amazing, especially for anyone who are entrepreneurs out there, Y'all, I'm telling you, you are not gonna want to miss it. So make sure you subscribe. But anyway, that's all I got for this week. If y'all enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review and a rating. And until next week, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and feel free to connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Slim Reshae. That's SLIMRESHAE. Links will be listed in the show notes. And until next time, love yourself and be beautiful.
When you're bad, when you need to find